before we set up our public hearing, are you guys going to speak on the performance towers?
We can, if you guys have questions or if there's information that we can provide, yeah, we'd be happy to give a summary.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to get your head around that, we can start off with that. Because it doesn't look like there's a lot of people here to discuss it.
Yeah, I think I can speak to them. I just wrote one. That's just part of it. This is actually a standard. But this was part of that.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special hearing, or the public hearing for the temporary performance towers for Barron Winds 2. At this time, I will open up the floor to sorry. This time we'll do roll call.
Supervisor Murray?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Councilmember Sukup? Here. Councilmember Kiefer?
Yeah.
And Councilmember Hilton?
Here.
At this time, we'll open up the floor to Adam Landis to talk about the towers.
Yeah, and, you know, whatever I don't touch on, if there's questions, definitely let me know, but there's 3 temporary towers that we're looking to put up. 2 will be on Burns property, 1 will be on Hendy's. They're 120 meter towers. They're gonna be lattice, they're gonna be guide. I do have some pictures that I can show you what they look like. I can show you what the foundation will look like, the layout of the guy wires, the concrete, all that stuff. I can show you a picture of a completed tower just so you can see what it looks like. I can show you on a map where they're going to be located, all that information I have. I don't know if you want to go into that detail or if you're already aware of all that information, if that's...
I forwarded everything in email to the board.
This is the same one that was the end of Rose Road last year, right? Pretty much.
It would be similar, yeah, very, very similar. So, what's that? So they'll be up somewhere's around, so the 2 are going to go in actual locations of turbines. So they need to get up beforehand. We get our data that they collect. And then once we put the turbine up, those 2 will come down. The 3rd one is called a reference tower. That'll stay up until after the turbines are built, so then they can compare the information coming from the turbines to the Met Tower, just to make sure that everything is jiving that way. So one of them will stay up another year potentially, you know, but the 2 that actually sit on the turbine foundations will need to come down when we build the turbine there, just because they're in the exact same spot. So, if you want to just pass that around, that's basically shows the height of it, what the guy wires will look like, and things of that nature.
Isn't it like 500 feet?
What's that?
The height.
Yes.
No, you said 120 meters, right? Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
So that's the 3 locations of each individual one. So that's the one, T15 will, that's gotta come down because there's a turbine actually there. That's another one that's the one that'll have to come down.
How big a concrete base?
So it's, I've got a picture I can show you. So basically, it's 10 foot long. About a foot of that will stick up above the ground. And what they do, they assemble the tower flat on the ground. And then there's a pin, there's a hinge point. They'll get a crane and they'll erect it up and then they'll hook up all the, so you can see, that's what the array for the guy wires, those will all be concrete blocks that, and then that's the actual foundation there. And then this is the actual foundation, and that's the hinge point, and this is the tower here. So this would be, here's ground level here, and then that would stick up, and so that's what those,
So none of these are where the one was earlier, 2 years ago? The
I don't
one on
believe so,
Rose?
no. The one on Rose was on the other.
No, there's no Rose Road on these maps. Are these
Supposed to
two
be
the same
two.
here, or these are very close? Does this look
Yep.
like the
Yeah, I
same?
thought that was on the corner of Rose Road.
No, this is not Rose Road.
I can show you that.
Not Rose Road.
No, this is Baxter.
Yeah. Or Dutch, that's Dutch.
Well,
The one that goes up.
Dutch Road, I call it
Yeah.
Dutch Road.
Yeah.
So these three black dots are the actual location. I mean, it'll be right where the green dots are for those two. So here's Back Street here. This is Dutch. So the other one would have been
That over here further, right?
like,
Okay,
yeah,
so
over
it's not
that.
in that spot, okay. Not.
I mean, it's close. I don't know how,
No, this one, that's not that close, because it was way over here.
yeah,
Where's
so,
Rose Road?
I mean,
I know it's close.
I don't, yeah, that's the
Not
thing, I just wasn't
exact
sure
spot.
what.
Oh, it's up the road, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there, it's not in the exact spot, the last one.
Yeah. So those three dots are where they will be located.
When are you looking to install these?
I would say as soon as possible, because we need to get them up so we can collect the data so they can come back down before turbine erection.
How soon is the ZBA?
What's that?
No, I'm sorry, I'm in another road. Yes, never mind.
You're thinking of the other.
I've got too many different things going
Now,
on.
is this the same kind of tower that was on Rose Road
This is
Yes.
nice
years
thing.
ago? So why do we need them
Oh,
now?
these aren't
I think the ones now are going up so we can, you're gonna catch me on some stuff that I'm not completely familiar with, but it's my understanding that they have to go up just before erection so they can get an idea of the winds that are in there. The one that was before was kind of preliminary, just same idea, but before we kept going through all those steps to make sure that the wind was viable. So this is more to test the performance of the machines to make sure that they're getting the winds that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So-
The difference is the earlier tower, really that data is determinative for the company to decide to go forward with a project. Like they figure out whether or not there's a wind resource. These towers are really data needed for the turbine manufacturer. This is gonna be the specific locations, and the turbine manufacturers need this data for purposes of, ensuring that their performance, location, and all that matches whatever their specifications are.
Now, did you guys do this on phase 1 too?
Yes.
Also, as you
Yeah.
said?
Yes.
Yeah. At same spots, like turbine locations?
Yeah.
Two of them were, and the third one was close. They have to be triangulated close to each other.
I think all three were in the town of Cohocton, but.
Yeah, they were all up on Powder Hill, all three of them.
Is there a reason why they're all in close proximity as opposed to being spread around? So that you're getting sort of a bigger view of how it's impacting the community?
It's my understanding they need to be close so they can get a good idea, triangulate off each other to make sure one's not getting an error
Yeah,
reading,
so
right?
what happens is, I don't know what you mean by impact to community, but the three towers, the data that they collect will triangulate, right? So it enables them essentially to verify through the 3 data collection systems that the information they're getting is correct and accurate. If you spread the towers out, then sure, you'll get that data, but you don't have double and triple check without a tower in close proximity.
How large an area does that take up with all the guy wires and everything?
I don't, where's that third?
In there.
Yeah. So.
Probably gonna be bigger than a base of a windmill with the cables.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
But
just
it's
off the top of my
temporary.
head, I'm gonna say it's 300 feet, you know, something.
That's outside cable to cable.
Just the cables, now the tower itself takes up a very small footprint.
Yeah, that's probably only, probably a little different.
Yeah. I can look at that and try to get you an exact number.
So if this gets approved, like tonight or whatever,
Mhm.
how soon will you be putting in for a building permit and a third-party inspector? Because I'm sure our code officer is not tower qualified.
Pretty quick. I mean, Mr. Cagle was the code enforcer for Cohocton, and he's now here, so whatever approvals we had through Cohocton,
Okay.
you know, so.
So who's the third-party inspector you have once these are constructed for the inspector to look, inspect the towers? Make sure they're compliant?
I cannot answer that right now. I'm not sure who we have hired as a third-party inspection. I don't know if though they've been hired yet. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I mean, just inspection as far as to make sure it's built correctly.
Yes, make sure it's like code compliant as far as tower standards.
Yeah, I'm not sure who we would have hired at this point.
Yeah, because you just can't erect something, I mean, you get a building permit, but somebody's got to inspect it. So, and I'm sure, well, New York State code inspectors, they don't teach us how to inspect towers. So you probably have to get somebody to inspect it to make sure everything's guyed appropriately, proper lead, proper string strand, all that.
I mean, again, I think, you know, to the extent the building inspector's not able to do that, I mean, we can talk about having a third party involved just the same way we would for any of the other aspects of the project.
I mean, we certainly, through all aspects of, whether it's Met towers or construction of the turbines themselves, we have QA/QC programs internally, we have inspections, so it's not like we just hire somebody and hope that they build it right. We have definitely checks throughout construction. I mean, we have.
I mean, it only protects you if it's inspected and they sign off on it, and then something happens and somebody gets whacked with a tower, that's gonna hurt a little bit.
Yeah, we will have checks and balances in place to make sure it's built correctly. I cannot answer who that will be, but we certainly perform quality assurance, quality control throughout every step of everything we do, from access roads to towers. So we will absolutely make sure it's built correctly.
Okay.
Is there a reason why that location was picked for the 3 towers?
I'm sure there is. I cannot answer. It's kind of centrally located. I think that's probably the best.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm sure Vestas has a reason, and there's probably other reasons. Centrally located, likely one of them, but we don't know for sure. Adam and I don't.
Well, I was gonna say, if you say the center, I would think that it would be more closer to your place.
Well, we don't need them over there.
I know that, but when you say that that's central,
It's more than we're.
Well, the majority of the windmills are going over
well, I know, but I mean,
that
the
direction.
whole project, the phase 2 project, you would kind of be in the center.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Sometimes too, I don't know directionally where this is, but sometimes it's leading edge of the wind. You know, it's not necessarily, the
Could be
purpose
the
of it is,
highest point or something.
yeah, the purpose of it isn't to provide an assessment for the whole project. You know, the Met Towers that have been up for a long time throughout the project area, they've been serving that purpose. And even then, they extrapolate it, you know, based on distance and points. You can't get the wind at every location.
Now,
What's the
Adam,
difference between the Met Tower and the temporary performance tower? Is that just language or?
Yeah, they're essentially the same. I mean, the temporary Met Towers and the performance towers, I think it goes back to what we said before. I think of a Met Tower as more for data that's collected for the company to do the assessment, whereas the performance towers is more for the OEM, the turbine manufacturer. But essentially, they're meteorological towers that are taking measurements and collecting data, and so in that way, they're very, very similar. It's just the names are different.
Now, when you say that the company's collecting it, is that for what? Don't you already have the models picked?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Met Towers that have been in existence since whenever the first Met Tower went up, probably, 2014.
No, I'm talking about these new performance ones.
These performance towers are, again, it's related to the turbine erection, and so it's for the turbine manufacturer, and, you know, you're collecting data throughout the process, so you're always confirming your assumptions with respect to the wind speeds and other things.
But there has been no model change?
No,
That wouldn't
no.
cause a model change?
No, definitely not. No.
Some of it has to do with, I believe, you know, just revenue and performance to make sure that that what the winds are bringing in is what the machines themselves will produce, and it's kind of a check to make sure we're getting the most out of them, you know, so performance.
It doesn't seem like the performance would be accurate though, because, you know, when you're going up Dutch, that's going uphill all the way to Rose, and you're triangulating these things, but that's only in that section of town. You know, some of them are miles and miles away. I don't know how that would correlate to the rest of the towers. If I'm assuming Rose Road is probably one of the higher elevations, you're not really getting a fair reading there compared to the rest of the towers scattered around town, which are lower elevations. That just seems a little odd to me.
now, will you be putting up towers on New Road? I know there was some discussion on that. Were they the ADLS towers?
No, so ADLS tower is going to be more down in this area, and our permanent Met Tower will be off of Ag Street. I think it shows, I think this map shows. So no, to answer your question, there should not be anything going up on the new road.
Okay, I know.
That'll
Jason
be the
talked-
permanent Met Tower there, and then the ADLS tower, I think it shows on my other maps. It's more centrally located to where these temporary towers are. Yeah. So the ADLS is right there.
Oh, only one of them? I thought you had to have ADLS kind of.
No, Barron one just has the one up on Emo Road.
Okay.
Yep. So this is ADLS. And then the permanent tower, which is unrelated to this, will be permanent, as named.
So this was submitted to Steuben County, just so everyone knows, and the planning department has determined that the project has no significant countywide or intermunicipal impact. So, just so everyone's aware of that.
They don't need anything else?
No, everything was submitted to them, and they sent us everything back. I got it this morning. Are there any other questions?
Just for background, the county planning board has a number of options. When it completes this, they can decide that the